All right, Brown Air. It's Thursday, April 27th. This call is for a quick check-in on design-related tasks for Backdrop CMS. On the agenda for today, we have a bunch of issues specifically being fixed or included in Backdrop 1.7 since code freezes next week. There are likely still design-related issues that could get in post-code freeze. But we already have some stuff that's already gotten in, which is great. Since last design meeting, we didn't really redesign the autocomplete widget. We just kind of added style that wasn't there before. But now the autocomplete will work and look a little bit more like the rest of our theme in lots of different places where it appears on the site. The two examples that I use most often are when you're editing any node, you can go to the authoring information section and type in a username there, and that'll autocomplete on all existing usernames. And we're also about to introduce a new feature where in the link dialog in CKEditor, you can autocomplete any existing content to link anything you're embedding to any existing piece of content. And so we were working on those two things in particular, making sure that the autocomplete looked consistent and beautiful and didn't have any funky issues on mobile, which I think there was a previous bug. So we sorted all of that out at once. So that was merged, which is fantastic. Other two issues we could probably use some more feedback on. We've got one that's super close, which is redesigning the status report in the update status listing. So modules that have available updates. There's a pull request for that. I think there's one little bug left in it. I think it's a great starting point for what we want those two pages to do. I think there's probably still room for improvement, particularly in the user experience area. But I think if we can get that into 1.7, that'll be a big win, and then we can continue to iterate going forward if we want a little more fanciness on them. There's an option in here. Oh, maybe we should do views first. There's also an open issue, issue number 930, for bringing the CSS on the views UI a little bit closer into line with the rest of the user interface in the 7 theme. It looks like Gregory, you just posted a new pull request for that today that updated a couple more little things, but that could use some feedback. And then
on the views UI?
Yeah.
Oh, I just pushed an update. Gregory, did you push one too? Or
maybe I saw yours and thought it was Gregory's.
Possibly.
I just read a lot of GitHub issues. I could have gotten them used. Somebody worked on it. Thank you, everyone.
This is 930. Is that what it is?
930.
Yeah. I just pushed an update that one, and there's no other ones by Gregory.
Okay. And then the next issue is 2602, and that was for updating the normalize library and including opinionate in addition. Did we reach a conclusion on how to do that, or is that still? I feel like we talked about it during our last meeting and we kind of decided what to do, but I don't know that we actually did anything since then.
Well, what we were going to do is we were going to let the dust settle and see what people are saying over in the normalize issue tracker. And there hasn't been any activity in the past couple of weeks in the normalize issue tracker. I think that people are accepting the removal of the opinionated styles and are in general supportive of the opinionate.css replacement file. I'm still not totally sure if we should dive in and update to to normalize version 6 or not. Like, we could very well just continue using 5 for the 1.7 release and then make this decision at a later time.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I still feel might be the right thing to do.
I kind of feel that way too. The issue is currently tagged with 1.7, which is why I wanted to bring it up again today. But if we want to push it to 1.8, and then by then the dust hopefully will be more permanent.
Yeah, I have a feeling that not everybody has spoken their mind on that opinionate like opinionate being removed out of normalize yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think, but by the way the maintainers are speaking of it, I don't think they're gonna back up on that. it's a firm decision. It's more like the rest of the people using the library just realizing that it's a fact now. And I agree with pushing it at 1H. I would have done it myself, but I don't think we have that branch yet. So perfectly fine, makes sense.
Yeah, because even if it seems like set now that he's not going to put the opinionated styles back in normalized, we don't know what the solution, like the final accepted solution for having those opinionated styles is. Like there is an opinionate library, that's true, but we don't know if that's going to become the de facto solution for people that want this, you know. So I think waiting is our best course of action.
Okay, I'm pushing that to 1.8. Okay, design related issues we should discuss today.
I'm not sure if this fits the design meeting thing, but I know it's a great feature. I mentioned that on on GitHub, but it feels funny how the new title block, the page title block, sorry, odd thing that it's happening when you add a block, such a block, then the default title pseudo block just disappears and then reappears. It just feels a bit funny, but we can discuss that on GitHub as well.
Yeah, so we're proposing adding a new feature to 1.7 that would give us a block that we could place anywhere on the page that will display the page title. And the problem is that we have configuration settings in the layout itself with an element, visual element that has a configure link where you put in a bunch of settings. And when you add the new block, you now have those same settings duplicated in the block. And so it's a little bit of a confusing experience where it's like, do I configure the page title where the page title is configured, or do I configure it in the block? And then why can't I just drag that pseudo element into a region? And I think that for 1.7, there might be a easy fix for this in terms of just like hiding stuff that's going to be confusing. Like the instant you place the pseudo, like the real block on the page, the pseudo block disappears.
That already does happen.
Okay. And then if we could copy the like settings from the pseudo block into the real block, when you place it, then when you go to configure it, you'd see the stuff that was already there. So I think we can kind of make that user experience a little better from a like it not seeming broken perspective. I agree it would be better if we could grab the title and drag it and drop it where you want, but that's probably going to be a bigger piece of functionality that we have to develop so that we can make that element grabbable, and then when you drop it, it would essentially do the action of placing the other block in the page. I think it's possible, but I think that maybe that's something that we should not need for a requirement for getting the initial placeable block problem solved, but like have a follow-up, like let's do some serious work on the user experience here and build in a tool that'll let us sort of drag and drop that block in the same way we can drag and drop the other ones, but have a different engine on the back end.
Well, I think there's a question of where we're actually going in the long term with this. Whether we want to keep the pseudo block. I mean, this is a great solution for dealing with the fact that there's a bunch of sites out there now that have this pseudo block. But would we want to, like for new installations, would we want to continue using the pseudo block, or would we want to place a title block in one of the regions by default?
Yeah, that's another good point too. Like it might just be easier to say, starting in Backdrop 1.8, there's no pseudo block in the layout. All new layouts come with the block placed, and then nobody would ever even see that. And then in Backdrop 2, we can just remove it, and that would eliminate a lot of these problems.
Yeah, we basically we need to come up with another set of layouts, like the same way that we deprecated our original layouts and replaced them with new ones. We could, in theory, do that even during 1.x and deprecate the current layouts with a whole new replacement set of layouts that don't have the title or tabs or action links or anything hard-coded, and instead it's all blocks.
Well, I mean, the way those work now, it should be fine even if you don't have any content there, right? Or are there like wrapper elements that'll still appear? Like there might be some stuff we can do with like if statements, like if title, print title. Like don't assume there's always going to be a. I mean, I agree. It would be better to have layouts that will cleaner for people to start from and copy.
No, I mean that. So in
But I don't
that
think it's
issue,
necessary.
in that issue, I commented that if we're going to make it so that the page title is the pseudo element for the page title, you can just move around. Well, definitely the cleanest, easiest thing would be just for it to not be a pseudo element in the first place, for it just to be a block, and you can just move it in the first place. And that makes things substantially easier. For other things like tabs and action links and the messages aren't even represented in the layouts UI right now. Like they don't show up as blocks. There's no way to configure them or anything.
And those are hard coded.
So I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna
in the layouts. Those
What's
are hard
that?
coded in the layouts right now.
Yeah, the hard coded in the layouts, exactly. And so if we were to treat all of these things the same, we could have like pseudo elements the same way that we have the pseudo title elements, but I don't think that we can actually implement that because we like hack it right now using title prefix and title suffix, and from the template, there's no such thing for tabs or the messages.
Yeah, I was thinking of a hybrid way of doing this. So in the backend, I understand the problem in the backend of copying the settings of how the title pseudo blocks are now. But what I was thinking about is that maybe in the UI, like in the front end, the UI, the blocks UI, we could have the pseudo block be movable, so that people can just, instead of adding a block, will be dragging that, and if they do drag it in another area, then in the background we sort of like switch to a page title block.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, basically my point was that we can do that if we want, and if you want to go do that, you can do that. But I'm just saying, like, you know, if we want to move towards having it be a block by default going forwards instead of the pseudo element, then we might not want to waste the time on dragging that pseudo element if like we're going to be phasing that out in any case. So maybe not add some more JavaScript and stuff if we are just going to move towards new installations having the page block, the page title block.
Yeah, we already have some funny business in there because, like Jen suggested, as you add the title block, the title pseudo block disappears.
Yeah.
So we already have some craziness going on in there, and probably just be a different set of craziness to accomplish the same thing in a different way.
Yeah,
or a different UX.
I mean, we might want to like this. Yeah, this basically we have some larger issues, and like just the title, the site title block with all the different components inside of it rather than separate is also like kind of a weird thing.
Well, they all exist separately too. So if you wanted to like put your
yeah.
sidebar or something, you can. I think it's just about like if we remove the pseudo block, which comes with the tabs and the title, we would need to place the I don't know what it's called, the collective block, the one that has all of those things, because we can't ever have an instance when those things aren't printed to the page. So I think like leaving our existing like layout template solution in place is good, where like if somebody removes tabs, we're going to put them on the page anyway. If somebody removes messages, we have to put those on the page anyway. Like having that fallback and having it printed out on the layout is important.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that having a title in the layout is important. And so if we wanted to remove that in the layout, I don't know, we could probably do that. The combo block. But yeah, anyway, I think for 1.7, Gregory, we should identify the pieces that make you the most uncomfortable and see what we can do to fix that. Like I think like adding some JavaScript to hide things is easy. Adding JavaScript to drag the pseudo block is going to be hard. So that's why we're pushing back a little bit on that. But anything we can do to make it better easily, like there might be other things we can do. We should aim to do that. And then we should create another issue where we can kind of talk through this process of like, what are we going to do with the layouts? What are we going to do? Like, should we just get rid of the pseudo title permanently, all new installations? And we can figure out like, okay, once we know where we want to go, I think removing the pseudo title area is probably a good direction. Then we can start figuring out how are we going to get there and how much of that can we do in 1.x? Is it going to require deprecating layouts or not? Like all of this conversation, I think, isn't something we need to worry about right now. Right now, we should just be like, how do we make this feature shippable in a way that our user experience is still solid?
I think it's for 1.7. It's too great a feature to just push it back to 1.8 just because it feels awkward. The way that it is now, it's very acceptable. And then for 1.8, or maybe because it's a UX issue, maybe iterate over the 1.7.x cycle. We can improve it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to stop us because it's a feature that people can use now, and that it's been requested a lot. So, and especially since it's what Mike said as well. If we are going to deprecate the pseudo block anyways, we shouldn't waste time in trying to, have fancy JavaScript going on.
Yep. Okay. Is there anything else for 1.7 that we should talk about today? I think that was a good discussion. Okay. So
on the status reports, are those ready for my review yet?
Almost. So I think I fixed the bug yesterday about it looking a little funky on mobile devices, but I was unable to reproduce that problem. And he was unable to reproduce my solution. So it would be good to get some more testing on that, just to make sure that the layout on mobile is not broken.
I don't know if you saw my comment because I didn't have the time to follow up all the issues. See how we have certain entries there that have actionable links like the run from now? Because that's being hidden with the description now, when you turn on mobile, because priority on that thing is low, it gets hidden. So people cannot actually get to run from when on mobile. So that's an issue. I thought maybe we can have these be action buttons and be in a separate row. I don't know. Maybe there could be another solution.
I posted some feedback on that too. I think we need to be careful that we don't copy user interaction patterns from forms onto reports. So like drop buttons in there would make me uncomfortable because there aren't any operations. These aren't operations. But I did like your point that like when these things are like actionable items, they should be buttons and not links. And I did update on the like updates available page. There was the button that was like check more. Now I turned that into a button style. We could use that just like generic button style. I think that would be good so people know like this is not just a link, it's going to perform an action. I don't know where to put the button. I think you have a really good point about the fact that on mobile, like the run cron link disappears. Like, where do we put it so that it doesn't disappear? Had a couple of ideas, like we could put it in a new column and just not call it operations, and that's probably fine. We could put it outside of the description field set so that it would always be visible. So we could either do it above, so it would be like the description of the problem, the link that says show more, and then like a button to do something, or we could put it like below. I don't know. I have there's a lot of solutions. I would love to see some kind of mock-up ahead of time, even if it's just like dropping in bits before we start writing code, because we could go in.
The easiest solution, if it makes sense with that, would be to make each entry be sort of like behaving, the ones that have a more link, behaving as expandable field sets. I think we have that pattern elsewhere as well. I think vertical tabs, I think. So there should be a more button there when on mobile. And if there's an action, we still show the description, but it's hidden. I don't know if it makes sense. But
okay. So if we just made that not disappear on mobile, we would solve all these.
Yep.
Okay. I'll start there. Anything else you can think of? No. Okay. So the only other item on the agenda today was just to talk about the new theme for backdropcms.org. I know Wes has made a ton of progress on that, but he's out this week at DrupalCon. So maybe we should chat with him when he gets home. Oh, and I know he and Tom came to me yesterday when they were working on content for the new homepage too. So they've even been working on it while they're away, which is exciting. Thanks, guys.
I think Tom updated as well, like the 5 main features that we need in. I couldn't find. He mentioned that he created that content, but I couldn't find it. Is it a separate like note type?
So the node type should be called feature. I don't know if he created it on the website or if he just created it on his computer, wherever he happened to be working with Wes. So I know he did the same thing with me. He's like, I posted an issue, but he didn't send me a link to it. So I don't know where the content is, but I know they've been working on it. So
okay.
We will see. It exists somewhere.
Yeah, slowly getting there.
All right. Is there anything else we should talk about design related at all? Not on the agenda. Oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this meeting, and we will have our developer call in half an hour. And yeah, getting closer. Thanks for all the iterations and all the design issues in the queue. I think Backdrop 7 is going to look really pretty.
Excellent. Awesome.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. Bye. See you in a bit.